Good evening, everybody. This is a surprise, isn't it? Facebook is not happening for me remotely this evening, and I got it cut off the first time, and then the second time I actually tried to cut the video, and as I tried to cut the video, unfortunately, I lost the video of my actual reading. So I'm just gonna be live right now and read the 103rd night all over again, because that's what live reading is all about. So, children, I hope you are sitting comfortably. Then let us begin. And some of you will have heard all this already before, and some of you won't, and then you'll be able to read it, listen to it again later, or now, whatever. Anyway, welcome everybody to Now It Was the 103rd night. Scheherazade said, "It hath reached me, O auspicious king, that when King Zau al-Makan saw that the accursed infidel had struck with javelin his brother Shah Khan, he deemed him dead and dispatched cavaliers towards him. And the first to reach him were the Wazir Dandan, and the Emir of the Turks, Bahram, and the Emir of the Daylamites, Rustam. They found him falling from his horse, so they stayed him in his saddle and returned with him to his brother, Zau al-Makan. Then they gave him in charge to his pages and went again to do the work of cut and thrust. So the strife redoubled, and the weapons together clashed and ceased not bate and debate, and naught was to be seen but blood flowing and necks bowing. Nor did the sword cease on the napes of men to make play, nor the strife to rage with more and more affray, till the most part of the night was passed away, and the two hosts were weary of the melee. So they called a truce, and each army returned to its tents, whilst all the infidels repaired to the king Afridun, and kissed the ground before him, and the priests and monks wished him joy of his victory over Shah Khan. Then the king fared for Constantinople and sat upon the throne of his realm, when King Hadub came to him and said, "May the Messiah strengthen thy forearm and never cease to be thy helper, and hearken to what prayers my pious mother, Zat al-Dawahi, shall pray for thee. Know that the Muslims can make no stay without Shah Khan." Replied Afridun, "Tomorrow shall end the fair, when the fight I fare. I will seek Zau al-Makan and slay him, and their army shall turn tail, and a flight shall avail." Such was the case with the Kafirs. But as regards the hosts of al-Islam, when Zau al-Makan returned to his tent, he thought of naught but his brother, and gasping into the pavilion, found him in an evil case and sore condition. Whereupon he summoned for counsel the Wazir Dandan and Rustam and Bahram. When they entered, they opined to assemble the physicians that they might medicure Shah Khan, and they wept and said, "The world will not readily afford his like." And they watched by him all that night. And about the late hours came to them the recluse in tears. When Zau al-Makan saw him, he rose in honour, and the religious stroked Shah Khan's wound with his hand, chanting somewhat of the Quran and repeating by way of talisman some of the verses of the Compassionate One. And the pretender ceased not to watch over him till dawn, when he came to himself and, opening his eyes, moved his tongue to his mouth and spoke. At this Zau al-Makan rejoiced, saying, "Of a truth, the blessing of the holy man hath taken effect on him." And Shah Khan said, "Praised be to Allah for recovery. Indeed, I am well at this hour. that accursed one played me false, but that I am swerved aside lighter than lightning. The throw spear had pierced through my breast. So praised be Allah for saving me. And how is it with the Muslims? Answered Zau al-Makan, all are weeping for thee. Quoth Sharkan, I am well, and in good case, but where is the holy man? Now he was sitting by him and said, At thy head. So the prince turned to him and kissed his hand when he said, O my son, be of good patience, and Allah shall increase thy reward, for the wage is measured by the work. Sharkan rejoined, Pray for me. And he prayed for him. As soon as morning dawned and day brake in shine and sheen, the Muslims sallied out to the plain, and the Kafirs made ready to thrust and cut. Then the Islamite host advanced and offered fight with weapons ready dight, and King Zau al-Makan and Afridun made to charge one at other. But when Zau al-Makan fared forth into the field, there came with him the Wazir Dandan and the Chamberlain and Bahran, saying, We will be thy sacrifice. But he replied, By the holy house and Zemzem and the place, I will not be stayed from going forth against these wild asses. And when he rode out into the field, he played with sword and spear, till riders marvelled and both armies wondered. Then he rushed upon the foe's right wing, and of it slew 2 knights, and in like manner he dealt with the left wing. Presently he stayed his steed in the midst of the field, and cried out, Where is Afridun, that I may make him taste the cup of disgrace? And when King Hardub saw the case, he conjured Afridun not to attack him, saying, O king, yesterday it was thy turn to fight. It is mine today. I care naught for his prowess. So he rushed out towards Zau al-Makan, brand in hand, and under him a stallion like Abjar, which was Astar's charger, and its coat was jet black, even as saith the poet, On the glancing racer out-tracing glance, he speeds as though he would collar doom. His steed's black coat is of darkness jet, and likest night is his nightliest gloom. Whose neigh sounds glad to the hearer's ears, like thunders rolling in thunderous boom. If he race the wind, he will lead the way, and the lightning flash will behind him loom. Then each rushed upon the opponent, parrying blows and proving the marvellous qualities were stored in him. And they fell to drawing on and withdrawing till the beasts of the bystanders were straitened, and they were weary of waiting for the event. At last, Zau al-Makan cried out his war cry and rushed upon Hardub, king of Caesarea, and struck him a stroke that shore head from trunk and slew him on the spot. When the infidels saw this, they charged in a body, and they engaged in hewing and foining till blood ran in rills. Then the Muslims cried out, Allahu Akbar! God is most great, and there is no God but thee, God, and invoked salvation for the Prophet, the bringer of glad tidings, and the bearer of bad tidings. And there befell a great fight, but Allah assigned victory to the faithful and defeat to the faithless. The Wazir Dandan shouted, Take your blood revenge for King Omar bin al-Nu'man and his son Shah Khan, and bared his head and cried out to the Turks. Now, there were by his side more than 20,000 horse, and all charged with him as one man, when the faithless found naught to save their lives but flight. So they turned tail to fly, while the biting sabre wrought its havoc, and the Muslims slew of them that day some 50,000 horse, and took more than that number. Much folk also were slain, while going in at the gates, for the flock was great. Then the Greeks hove to the doors, and swarmed up to the walls to await the assault. And the Muslims' hosts returned to their tents, aided to glory and victory. And King Zau al-Makan went into his brother, whom he found in most joyous case. So he made him a prostration of thanks to the beautiful, the bountiful, and the exalted. And then he came forward and gave Shah Khan joy of his recovery. Answered he, "Verily, we are all under the benediction of this religious, holy, and righteous. Nor would you have been victorious, but for his accepted orisons. Indeed, all day he remained at prayer to invoke victory on the Muslims." And Shahrazad perceived the dawn of day and ceased saying her permitted say. So, dear friends, I have corrected our minor technical mishap today. Thank you very much for joining in and reading with us and listening to me this evening. I really hope this story is going to go out well, because as I discovered, and we have all discovered reading the past stories of this set, that that Zat al-Dawahi is a right piece of work. And she's not only causing the death of many, many Muslims, she's causing the death of many, many Christians as well with her machinations. She's basically causing the death of an awful lot of people with her ideas and whatever she wants to do to gain power. So I really hope she's going to find her just desserts, and everyone's going to learn to love each other and get back on with each other again, because that, of course, would be the best result out of this story possible. Anyway, it's good night from me. Many blessings. As usual, it has been an absolute pleasure reading for you. Many salams. Take care of yourselves. Have a wonderful day, afternoon, evening, whatever it is. I do apologize again for the slight technical hiccups we had this evening, but that's live readings for you. And we are in isolation, kind of, still, not quite. But anyway, good night, everybody. Take care of yourself. Salam.